Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to Firing Range, a podcast to talk about all things Destiny weapons, abilities, loadouts, and the sandbox at large. And Cool Guy is not here with us tonight. Totally fine. He's off doing his own thing. We wish him well. We'll have him back on the show in no time, I'm sure. But in the meantime, we found another PvP controller stud to fill in, because that's just kind of, it just seemed right. It just seemed right.
I'm the substitute for today.
He's a substitute
Chill guy.
teacher. Now, don't play with the substitute, all right? Don't give any fake names or anything like that.
No, I got you.
No paper planes. PureChill, thank you very much for joining us, brother. It's great to
Thanks
have
for
you
having
here.
me, bro.
Of course. For the people at home who might not be familiar with you, give yourself a little impromptu introduction. It can be as long or as short as you want.
Impromptu. PvP demon that loves Destiny 2. Just can't get enough of protecting the lost city, you know? I just love PvP, everything oriented.
My man. And you're also a trial Sherpa, and you haven't gone insane yet. So you got that going for you.
Yeah, I mean, I learned from you. You're a trial shipper too, no? You know
Former.
Yeah, I've been enjoying trials. This past weekend was pretty interesting, but you know, that's why we get these little breaks every now and then, and keeps it refreshing. And trials is trials, you know what I mean? It's definitely one of the more like, wait, is my audio cut out? Can you guys hear me?
I got you.
You're good.
Yeah. Trials is one of the more like replayable things in Destiny. So it's like kind of one of those things I just enjoy compared to like 6v6 and other stuff. But yeah, I mean, when you're a PvP like content creator, you don't really have too many options in terms of content. You know what I mean?
It's true. To give you credit, out of every PvP game type on the table currently in D2, I actually enjoy Trials the most, for as much as I kind of joke and meme on it a little bit. I actually enjoy it very much.
You meme on it? Why do you meme on it?
Because it's just, I don't know. Because there's always something going on with Trials. Either the meta is not where people want it to be, or the loot's not very good, or you know, people are arguing what type of matchmaking should Trials have. It seems like it's relatively there's always something going on, I feel like, in Trials. But
yeah, I see where you're coming from, and yeah, I think matchmaking is definitely one of the key ones that people meme on the most.
Sure. I don't know if we want to dive into that topic right away, but fair enough. Drew, how you been, buddy?
I've been well. I've been good. Enjoying the expansion. Yeah. Immortal. Yeah.
That's
PvP.
Have you been? I'll save that question for a minute. Cammy, how you doing, buddy?
I am burned out already with Lightfall. We just did the master raid, so I think that's all the stuff we're waiting on this season. Now I feel like I can finally play the game. I'm just done with all the prep and the new stuff.
Right. All right, I'll go back to what Drew kind of slid in there. How do you feel about the Immortal there, Drew?
What is the Immortal? Nah, viewers already know what it is.
Should we explain it for the one guy who hasn't played in like half a year, but for whatever reason still listens to the podcast because he enjoys hearing us talk? If you've been living under a rock completely, there's a weapon in D2 which is just super juiced called the Immortal. It is an SMG, and the usage numbers have been high, to say the least, I guess. Would you agree with that? Anything you want to add?
What was it? 2.4 million SMG kills.
I think it was. I think it hit.
No, I think it was like 8 or 9.
It hit way higher.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, it was. That was like one. That was like first 2 days, bro.
Where am I getting this number from? Anyways, I remember seeing SMGs had more than double the amount of kills of hand cannons and pulses.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of that was Immortal. And as Pure said, I think that was like 8 million kills on Immortal by the end of it, or something crazy.
It was a really high number.
It's pretty popular.
So is it players finally discovering that SMGs are good, or that the Immortal is just that much of an improvement over what we just had? Or is it both?
I think it might be both. Yeah.
It's definitely both, but it's definitely more leaning towards Immortal being more of like an improvement, like you just said.
So for the viewers at home, Immortal is an aggressive frame SMG that pumps out 25.5 meters of damage drop off, and has a perk called Target Lock that improves the time to kill for maintaining aim on the target.
I'm not sure if it's been. I've not been very in tune with YouTube, so forgive me, but I think it's on D2 Foundry, which is a popular website right now to get like weapon stats from. It says that it doesn't improve, if I'm not mistaken, unless this was changed. It says that it doesn't improve the TTK. Just to clarify, it does improve the TTK. The time to kill with target lock of that weapon is 0.6 seconds up until 7 resilience. And then onwards, it's a 0.67. So it would be 9 shots. So 8 shots to 9 shots after 7.
But Resil is a factor in that as well.
Yeah, 7 resilience.
Not everyone is going to have their number of bullets to put them down number going to change depending on what their Resil number is. But
yeah,
well,
for the majority of resiliences, those will be
yeah.
faster. Yeah, but yeah, like Cam said, metagaming. So.
Right. But yeah, the TLDR is that I feel like a lot of people kind of, when the season comes out and we got a lot of new info pouring into the D2 API, we're able to look at, weapons in light.gg and, D2 Gunsmith, etc. before they can actually get into our hands, right? And even in the game, you can just open up the collections and be like, okay, that's what the gun is going to, bring to the table stat-wise. I feel like everyone kind of immediately looked at the Immortal and went, Jesus, like this is gonna go really, really hard. Like at the tail end of last season, like what SMG has been shredding up the meta, right?
The Aikilos.
The Aikilos.
And Teraba.
Yeah, and Teraba. And like, so those are already dominating the PvP meta. And then we're just looking on paper and it's like, so this is like the same archetype, but it's just, it's like all of their strengths and none of their weaknesses, right? It's got rangefinder, you have target lock, you got, if you wanted to go that route, you could go kill clip. It's just like, you can get the adept versions, you can do adept range on it, or like, whatever you want. It seemed like a really strong weapon on paper.
I mean, on paper, I wasn't expecting it to be that strong still. Like, I knew it was going to be as good as like Kilos, or if not even like slightly better, but like seeing it in action and especially like getting team shotted by it is just, I can't believe how strong it is.
It's really good.
I can't believe it, got past live servers or got to live servers. You know what I mean?
But yeah, so now we're kind of at the point where I think, I don't know, I'll speak for myself, but y'all can tell me how you feel. Like, I'm really expecting a TWAB any day now. Could drop tomorrow, where, Bungie's going to kind of let us know, here's what we're expecting to change in the game, PvE and PvP-wise, in the coming, weeks or whatever. I would be shocked. Shocked if PvP SMG usage did not get really, really looked at very hard. You know what I mean? Like I'd be kind of amazed. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
How like soon would a TWAB come out talking about SMGs?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean they like to do their mid-season. Did they do a mid-season change or a mid-season preview for season 21, or do they do both? Do they do like
when it comes to weapon tuning, or
when it comes to weapon tuning in general?
I feel like it's both,
tuning?
But what we might be remembering is like emergency changes, not intended.
I'll say that like 100% of the time, or we'll say very frequently, if we get a new season, a bunch of changes and hotfixes are going to come out with that new season. But then in certain other situations, if Bungie feels like, I guess if it's either deserved or warranted, or if they're able to do so, they'll introduce a mid-season patch. But that is like less likely to happen, right? So I guess either could be possible. We could get a quick mid-season patch that would address SMGs and other things, or we might have to wait until season 21. I don't know. I don't know.
I still think season 21's a bit early. They don't usually do those big weapon tunings until like probably like 2 seasons roughly. What do you think, Cam? How long is it usually?
They've been pretty good in recent history.
What has it been season?
They've been taking, for example, No Time to Explain down every season, just a little bit each time.
A little bit each time.
I feel like for this one, I would hope that there's going to be action taken quicker, just because like the sheer like insanity
volume
behind the numbers of this.
Right.
Yeah, the sheer volume of this is like pretty crazy. But I mean, you asked me this Fallout to start, but I want to ask it back to you guys. What do you guys actually think of the SMG or like the weapon meta, or how it affects the weapon meta? Do you like the SMG? Do you like how it plays?
I think a lot of people like gravitate towards SMGs because of the in-air changes, and SMGs just have really good in-air in general. And I just feel like ever since that happened, people have been just looking for like a gun that, you know, is good in air, and that's why people first went to SMGs. But the Ikilos and you know, what is the RPM? I think it's a 750 RPM.
750.
Yeah, those 750 RPMs is just completely just dominates every other weapon type except maybe like sidearms. I don't know. It's kind of tough to say because it's still fairly new, but it's been going on for probably a couple months now.
Do you like the gun though, Pure? Do you like how it plays? Do you enjoy it, or it's like, or are you not a fan of it?
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I go against somebody, especially on a PK Titan, and the target lock hits, I think I'm getting double damaged like half the time. It's that fast. Like I'll even call out I got double damaged, and it's just I'm getting target lock.
Yeah, with the 0.6.
Yeah,
with the 0.6.
My man with the 0.6.
You know, I use cheesy guns too, like Drang and stuff like that, and you know, going up against something that outguns a Drang is you know, it's an eye opener for sure.
I'm glad you mentioned Drang.
So I want to get back to Drang.
We will side table that because I also want to talk about Drang. But
yeah,
to answer Drew's question, it's, you know, it's a shame because for a while now, even before they blew up, I enjoyed when an SMG felt really good, and it was like, you know, when it had the ability to compete with a hand cannon. Because, you know, of course, we've had metas where 140s shine really, really bright, best option. And it's such a really delicate dance with D2 these days. I feel like any buffing or nerfing any gun, even by a smidge too far, can create wild swings in the meta. And I think it's kind of what we're looking at right now. Like, especially any SMG with, you know, good stats and access to rangefinder, like, is just very likely to pop off. And
to answer Drew's question,
yeah,
I think there was 2 defined ranges in PvP. There was no time range, and then there was Teraba / Drang range, right?
Right.
Immortal has pushed that out even farther on that lower end, and so it feels like the maps, you don't have anywhere to escape it. Like, there was this sweet spot of range where you could challenge in no time, and if they're gonna hit it, they just got it. But now you just get target locked by Immortal.
Yeah. I think at first, long while back, it felt good to have an option that was able to sometimes compete or contend with 140 RPM hand cannons in PvP, and now it's at the point where it's a very safe option to outgun a 140 RPM hand. I mean, like, some people are probably fine with that, and if you're fine with that, good, great. I mean, we can all have different opinions on the game. I just feel like for me, if I want to use a weapon in PvP, which is just unbelievably safe to the point where it almost has no downside at like 25 meters, just throw on an SMG. And like, I just think anytime we reach any point in the meta where something becomes like so clearly dominant, it's like, all right, it's at least worth a conversation or something like that. I don't want to completely bury SMGs because I do enjoy the feeling when, you know, they're used within their intended ranges and, you know, yada yada. But I feel like they definitely need to be looked at right now.
I had this conversation with Drew, like we were talking about how SMGs were cool when they were like a niche gun,
Yeah.
right, Drew? But now it just feels like you have to put one on to have fun or at least compete, you know what I mean? In certain situations.
Yeah.
The way I feel about it is like, I'm not a big fan of the potency of SMGs. Starting with like the Ikilos, I think. The Ikilos SMG I thought was just bonkers, like insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really that, I think, that aggressive archetype more than anything. I don't think I feel the same about a lot of other SMGs. Sheira's is always still in the conversation, but I feel like that was a power level that, I don't know. I feel like that's the strongest I'd want an SMG.
Shira
I feel like conceptually, like that definitely like teeters on the line that I'm like, fine.
It's definitely pretty strong too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, but I feel like things like Aikilos and the Immortal were just like a cut above, like numerous times. And the other thing I don't like about the Immortal with target lock is, and I don't know if this is intentional or not, but target lock, at least I think it was according to info on D2 Foundry, has like a 0.2 second window. So as like you have to keep hitting damage.
You have to keep hitting it.
Yeah, within 0.2 seconds. So on certain RPMs, you can miss, which I feel like goes against what I assumed was the intention of the perk was if you land all your shots, you beam them. When actually what that could be doing is just making your overall TTK more forgiving. And I don't like that, especially combined with the range and other factors that make that gun so strong. But I wanted to, if it's cool, segue into another question for you guys. I feel like we've seen a lot of different metas now. Like we've finally seen like the true ultimate SMG meta. We've seen Pulse Destiny. We've seen hand cannon Destiny. I mean, we've even seen sidearms for a good while. Which of those do you find the best? And maybe which one's the worst?
Man.
The worst? You want me to know? You want to say the worst?
Yeah, sure.
The worst, definitely Omni Lord of Wolves, man. I just cannot stand Lord of Wolves, man. That one, oh my god, I've never been so frustrated.
I mean, not in terms of specific metas though. Like,
okay, are you talking about
weapons in their time, like weapons in their like prime, like hand cannon?
I get what he's saying.
Like hand cannon Destiny.
Oh, okay.
Right now, SMG Destiny, Pulse, or Sidearm.
Although I would agree,
I think we've seen those all pretty recently within the last.
Okay, this is like, I hate to
give.
This
is something I think about.
Do you want me to give the boring answer? Because I'll give my.
Yeah, you can give the boring answer.
I'm gonna give the super boring content creator answer. Hand cannon metas are my favorite. They're always my favorite, and I know like a lot of people are gonna hear that and they're gonna roll their eyes.
That damn content
creator, YouTuber, PvP.
I feel like it's
player.
from like Destiny 1 though, right? Because Destiny 1 was like a very like hand cannon shoddy meta, right? Fallout.
Yeah,
so I kind of feel like that's like your roots.
It's crazy. Back in, I used to play a ton of Halo. Respect to the poster on your wall there, PureChill.
Oh, yeah.
Halo 3 back there. In Halo, it was funny. My fiance Anno comments on it all the time. She's like in Halo, you used to be such a sniper. You used to snipe all the time in Halo, and like you barely snipe in Destiny. It's like shotgunning is really good. Like when I went into D1, like shotgun aping was just so fun that like I don't know, I just got into it. But anyway, yeah. Boring answer is that I am always entertained in a hand cannon meta. I like what they offer in terms of like, because you have to be precise, right? I think in D2 it was better than D1, because in D1, what was it, like one head, two body was a kill, which is like insane to think about right now. To me, that's fucking insane. But like now in D2, you need 3 headshots in a row with 140 RPM hand cannon in order to get like perfect time to kill. And I think that's fair because you're encouraging precision. If you whiff the 3rd headshot, you need to fire another shot, which extends your time to kill by a good amount. So like it's rewarding you if you're accurate. I don't like metas that are outside of that. So which is why I usually don't like auto rifle metas, because it just kind of encourages to me like duct tape the trigger down and just like maintain vague precision on the body, and like I don't know, every time we've gotten an auto rifle meta, I've very much not enjoyed it. But hand cannon
the hard light meta,
very, very annoying to think about. But that would be my answer.
What about you, Pierre?
No, I would have to agree. He just nailed it. Like hand cannons are, it feels like the most accurate gun when you use it. I mean, like right now we're in a sidearm SMG meta and it feels very easy to use, right? Compared to a hand cannon. I know that's kind of weird to say, but when I use a 140 hand cannon, I feel like I have to play differently and use game sense a bit more compared to using like a sidearm in an SMG where you can just blatantly ape in and just you get rewarded for like risky behavior compared to like a hand cannon where you have to play a little bit more team oriented. You know what I mean? Is the best way to put it. So I would have to agree with Fallout. I'd kind of more of like a hand cannon guy myself, and I feel like hand cannons definitely reward more precision shots than sidearms and SMGs currently.
What about you, Cammy? Do you have a answer outside of
Less
our
about the
boring one?
weapon type. I'll use whatever as long as the map mode and ease of getting the time to kill makes sense. That's it.
That's fair. That's a good answer.
I typically like longer TTKs though, because that's more opportunity to just show I'm better at aiming or whatever.
Fair. Drew, what about you?
I find myself really confused about this. I'm like,
Huh.
I'm not gonna say pulse because everyone's gonna be like, oh, you're just sitting back.
You laner.
I don't like playing like that, and I don't like when people just sit back, so I'm not gonna say that.
Okay, sure.
I don't like a no time meta type thing, so I'm good. Sidearms. I don't think I like sidearms. I don't know, like out of all of them, like I don't love autos. It's a cheesy answer for me, but I'll give like a caveat. I like hand cannons because I like that I like that the ceiling is achieved best when you're playing with a team that can utilize their potential for team shooting. That feels really satisfying, right? It's like, of course the gun has a lot of potential on its own, but I think that especially if they were to tune SMGs a little bit better, there's still guns out there that'll put an ample amount of pressure on them because you have to hit those 3 headshots. Granted, I'm aware they're quite forgiving, but I mean, like I digress. I think that the team shot potential of them is always such like to have like when you see a really great team that's able to just play angles and play their cover effectively and really reach that ceiling, I think it's something satisfying. What I don't like about hand cannon metas, I guess in comparison to if I had to find something good, like, you know, a highlight about this meta right now that I kind of thought about recently is that I think that I don't like how sometimes hand cannon metas get very like peekaboo like. It's like really like the high DPS weapons in Destiny really, I feel like more than anything encourage like peeker's advantage and like playing peekaboo, like being really tight to cover, not really committing to anything. And like that's just playing smart, and unfortunately I don't think the networking in Destiny doesn't do great with that. Sometimes you can really like break the camera sometimes and peekers advantage people and get shots off that look like they're going through walls and whatnot. So I like that with the SMG meta. It's like people are all like pretty committal. Like target lock requires you to commit to a kill, and like people are like committing to gunfights, and that's like interesting. I'm not a fan of how strong it is, but like, I don't know, it made me think a little bit. And I don't think that though, I think we've seen, at least in my opinion, the worst direction of both metas, like the most forgiving hand cannons with, you know, little cost. Like I personally think of spare rations. I think that was like turbo aim assist, crazy movement speed, a rate of fire that tries not to punish you as best as possible. Like for missing, like, and then we've seen the craziest of the SMG meta, which is right now.
Right.
And I can't say I'm too big of a fan of either, but fair. I think that obviously we've come a long way since, you know, spare was like at the top of the food chain with how forgiving it was. But and if we bring SMGs down a little bit, maybe they can still exist in a way that has the potential to pressure hand cannon. So I don't know. It was just something I thought about recently. I don't have a great answer to it, I guess, but if I had to choose one, I like the team shooting potential of hand cannons. Even with the problems that might exist, I think that is such a satisfying thing for a team to achieve and do well together.
I would agree.
I do want to say this current meta has one very satisfying thing about it. In the same way that back in the day you'd proc Magnificent Hell and just yellow number an entire team down, pop between multiple targets, target lock spray transfer on mouse and keyboard is neuron activated when you delete 2 people with that.
That's fair, I guess.
What is your take on the Rose hand cannon then? Have you guys tried it? Like, have you guys got a good roll yet or no?
I love the
I have
Rose
a decent
hand
one.
cannon.
I love the Rose hand cannon,
It's
bro.
good.
It's so fun. I've actually did.
I loved Rose. Yeah.
No, I actually did private matches recently, and we did like hand cannon shoddy, and everyone's just using Rose. Like I think it's a lot better than spare because I was even trying my old spare out. Fortunately, I got a god roll Rose, so I could use the Rose with slide shot rangefinder. Dude, it is one of the best hand cannons since like Ace. I mean, I think Ace is obviously better, but I think Rose is a lot better than spare rations, just because of the potential rolls you can get. After that private match, I was just like, wow, like this would be an amazing meta if it would just be, you know, Rose on top versus like the SMG and sidearms, you know, being a little bit overtuned.
Yeah, I do enjoy my Rose hand cannon. I have that same role. But I've been
rangefinder.
Yeah, but I've been spoiled by my Titan because before Lightfall came out and the tail end of season 19, I was using a lot of Arc Titan with Antaeus wards for the extra, little extra slidey, and because I have slide shot rangefinder and I'm using Antaeus wards, I'm like sliding a lot. There's like a really good synergy there on paper. So like, especially Cammy, can you attest to this? Like, because you've played both input methods. I also play both input methods, but like sliding into like around a corner into an engagement and like insta ADSing your weapon, like I feel like it's easier for me to do on M&K than it is to do on a controller. Like
100%.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad I'm not.
I can put that into words better if you want.
Go for it, yeah.
Okay, so one of the biggest like aha moments for me on controller was switching to slide boots. And the reason is, if my slide gets me a farther distance, it's longer, that means I get to ramp up the aim acceleration more to put my crosshair exactly where the hell I want it by the time I'm visible to my opponent. It's
just sliding around a corner with Antaeus wards and a slide shot Rose, specifically on mouse and keyboard, is a really good feeling. Like it's just you know, when you do something good in PvP and you do it right and you get the perfect 3-tap whatever, and like it's like that just worked and it just feels good. When you do something in PvP that works, feels good, like I just like you have that feeling, that inner pop-off feeling. I don't know,
that hero moment.
Yeah, I feel that a lot with Rose on mouse and keyboard, but yeah, I really enjoy it.
So after playing mouse and keyboard and controller for so long, both of you guys, what's your take on the strength and weaknesses for both inputs?
That's a great question. I would say that I mean, one reason I use multiple inputs is I try to make sure I'm understanding every person's experience who plays the game. Like if you know what I mean, someone is coming at me with an opinion on like about controller or mouse and keyboard, I want to be informed on that opinion, so I try to play both. But I also think that certain loadouts just shine better depending on input method, which I've been talking about for a long time. Like I would not use a lot of sidearms on M&K. I would gladly use them on controller. Like I'll use Drang on controller all day because it's super good.
Yeah, that's the same for me. It just unlocked a lot of loadouts to be able to play both, because some loadouts I feel are just more consistent on controller.
Which one felt more rewarding though for you as a player? Like you as a gamer, which one was more rewarding?
Hand cannon, mouse and keyboard is my favorite thing ever.
For me, it's no contest. It's M&K every time.
M&K every time.
It has to do with more. It's like while I'm moving around the map, I can do a little short hop of my character, snap aim a different direction, get some information, shoot something, and still be moving the direction I wanted to. It's just seamlessly. On controller, I can't do that. I have to commit to, if I'm looking that direction, I'm fighting that direction.
Yeah.
But I will say that I wish there was less arguing in the community about like the grass being always greener. I feel like each side is always pointing over the fence at the other side being the problem. So that does kind of annoy me.
I feel like that's in every game though.
Yeah, it's true. It happens in like, it doesn't also happen in like Apex and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it is what it is, right? It's just,
I just have a no John's approach. If I'm gonna complain about controller, then I better be playing controller. Right. If I really do think it's better.
Like as long as I made myself laugh. Couldn't even get it out. I mean, look, as long as you're not pre-programming whatever device you're using to automatically remove all the recoil before you go into a game, you know, via third-party hardware, you know,
the Zimmers, the Zims.
Oh, good God. What the hell were we even talking about?
We were talking about we're
pros
talking
and
about
cons. Right. Yeah.
Oh, and pros and cons controller, true.
Sure. Yeah, I would say that, pros of mouse and keyboard is that I think the movement is far better. Like when I'm moving around, like in D2, I just feel like my movement is way better on M&K. But then again, I've seen people move incredible on controller. You know what I mean? It's just I think it's about how much time you put into just practicing. I just think intuitively to me it feels faster on M&K, but that can lead to a lot of problems. Like when I'm shotgunning on M&K, it always takes me much longer to warm up because I'm freaking out and moving my mouse around really quickly, and I overcorrect my shotgun aim. It's when I have a controller, it's so much easier. I feel like the benefit of controller is I can fine tune my aim a little bit easier, but the downside is that I feel like I move a little bit slower. That's just for me personally, I would say. And we've been all over the place tonight.
If we're talking rows, the roll that I've been using is the explosive payload one. On just the like small off chance it flinches the Immortal.
It's a good roll. I love the payload roll. It's fresh.
Flinch in Destiny, man. We love Flinch in Destiny. That's such an RNG thing. I feel like it just
That's like Drew's most hated thing. I remember like every time Drew would like go over a build for PvP, he's always like,
"Oh man,"
he's like, "Yeah, octuple flinch resist." Because like, I just hate it so much.
I'm using 8 flinch resist with Zen moments, no distractions, and resilience today.
Going so far.
Can you tell I hate flinch? Yeah, like.
We haven't recorded an episode in so long. We have a new element like Strand, and with Strand came a new Hunter exotic helmet that gives anti-flinch. For using your grapple.
Right. Yes.
And DR for using nothing. But what?
What?
Zen Moment got a buff. We already thought the perk was good.
Oh my god.
Wait,
I feel like we just need to take a second for that.
Zen Moment.
Yeah, Zen Moment.
Oh,
okay.
Pure.
So I just need to call out this like hilarious arc that me and Cam went through. So on the last episode we recorded, this was pre-expansion. We were like, yo, Zen Moment. Actually kind of crazy. I think we've been like,
remember, I just started playing controller, and I'm like, "Yo, this is hitting! Like, it's good."
Yeah, like we're like, trying to figure out like we tell the story of like why do I like Not Forgotten so much? Like obviously there's other reasons, but Kim's like, oh, maybe Zen Moment might help. And I'm like, oh, that's a throwaway perk, and then it's like, oh, try and put it on Ostranger with like a lot of stability. I'm like, holy fuck, this is really good. Yeah. And then Zen Moment got a buff, and we were like, it stonks, just like the Zen Moment arc.
Yeah.
Now it reduces flinch, which is like amazing.
If it finally does something. Pure, what is your Drang roll out of pure curiosity?
Wow, that's actually really funny because I run Rampage on it, but I've gone against players that use Zen Moment, like a fully crafted one, and I kid you not, I get outgunned at least 2/3 of the time when they have Zen Moment, and I was thinking like, why don't I run Zen Moment? But once you get Rampage to proc,
Rampage can be very fun on Drang.
Like you can 1v2 very consistently. I mean, I just think like
with if you have Swashbuckler, I didn't mean to cut you off here, but
no, you're good. You're
just to ride your coattails there. If you can activate Swashbuckler, same thing. If you have one of those damage perks, especially on Drang, that'll heat up real good. But just it's just funny your initial reaction of like, oh, yo, Zen Moment got that buff though.
Because I've lost a lot of 1v1 situations to another controller Drang, and anytime I inspect them, they have Zen Moment, and I'm just like,
I think you should give it a try. It was noticeable before the buff, and now it's just.
I mean, I could literally just have both, right? Because I have a crafted one. So
because when remember when Drang was like, it's still really good now, but when it was kind of the Immortal. Remember when Sidearms got that sidearm buff, and then Drang immediately just became king of PvP, right? It's just crushing everything. And like it was just so good. And I was thinking like, okay, so obviously I'm gonna play it on controller because I think it performs way better than mouse and keyboard. But I have the crafted one, and I'm like, well, what do I do for column 4? It was kind of like I had to think about it. You know what I mean? It was like, do I want to try and go for the big plays with Swash? Do I want to be consistent with Rampage? What do I want to do? But now, after Zen Moment got buffed, literally one of the first things I did was go through my vault and try to like dig up weapons that I thought would maybe do good with, Zen Moment. And I was like, oh, Drang. So I went and recrafted it with Zen Moment column 4. It is like the hard. I would be shocked if many people would. When like you talk about a weapon and it's like, oh, well, there's multiple god rolls, especially like Rose. Like there's so many perks in every column that you're like, oh, this could be a god roll. That could be a god roll too. You know, like with Drang, it's like no, there's one god roll, maybe two, like, and they share 4 of the same perks.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so you're
I
gonna
mean,
go,
honestly,
like it's just so
a
good.
big reason why I'm not using Rose currently is just because like 90 plus stability Austringer with Zen Moment. I can't get enough of it.
Man.
It's just like no flinch. Stability helps the flinch. Zen Moment helps flinch. It's like
yeah, you were one of the
I
lucky
can actually
ones
land
that,
my shots.
got Austringer while you could. You can't get any more.
What is that Drew 5? I have D2 Gunsmith open up.
Yeah,
right
the
now.
red boxes got moved
Let's
to the world
recreate
pool.
the Drew Austringer right
look.
now.
Okay, one more is my Austringer.
Speaking
okay,
of
so
that,
it's
or you go.
Yeah, hit me.
okay. Small bore, Ricochet.
Respect. Okay.
I'm thinking about changing Ricochet to high cals.
For flinch?
In a moment, but small bore, yes.
Okay.
Small bore, Ricochet or high cal, enhanced Eye of the Storm, enhanced Zen Moment, stability, masterwork. So that should be 96 stability and 60 range. So it's actually still like a good amount of range.
What did you say? Was it range or stability masterwork? I didn't.
Stability masterwork.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
The only reason I'm thinking about going to high cal is because like you can just bring it down to 91 stability, which is still plenty. And like, you know, high cals is good. Like, why not? I can spare 5 stability for that. So like again, 90 plus stability, 60 range on the dot, less flinch. You don't have to worry about your accuracy. Like if your range affecting your accuracy, Eye of the Storm is gonna handle your accuracy. So it's like it's an insane gun. It's my favorite hand cannon.
Such a good perk on any gun.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Because for the longest time, the debate for PvP Austringer was like, what do you put in column 4? You'd team rangefinder, you'd team opening shot, right? Now it's like, new contender has arrived. Zen Moment column 4 Austringer.
I don't think it was a new contender. I think it's always been there, and we've just been sleeping on it.
Just undervalued
Yeah,
it.
Maybe
And
that's
now more than
also
ever,
possible.
I agree with Ken.
Yeah. Now that it's been buffed, it's more of a contender than ever, I would say.
There was a myth at one point that it just didn't do anything on MNK, and there might be some truth to that, but that's probably why I never revisited it, even on controller.
Sure. That's fair.
I wanted to ask Pure, have you been maining, like, you main Hunter now? Is that your thing? Is like you playing Hunter?
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I'm a Warlock main at heart. For trials,
sure
I just have to dig deep and abuse the invis. I just don't want to do it, bro.
I get it, man. Invis is good.
But like, here's why though. Here's what's going on. I found this build. So we got Reaper, right? Reaper's a brand new thing added to Lightfall.
Reaper.
So I found this insane build with, it gives you Echo Vigilance. If you guys, do you know what Echo Vigilance is?
Is that the one where you get an overshield?
Yeah, you get an overshield.
I think it's
so
strong,
I've heard that
man.
with Echo of, I think, Starvation. So when I dodge and I get a kill, I get an orb, or I can just leave the orb there, right? You know what I mean? It's a guaranteed orb every time, you know, with the Reaper. I get a health regen, I get an OS. It's insane, bro. I just figured out this build, and not only that, I have triple Solar Surge. So when I pick up an orb, I get a 5% damage boost.
And you're rampaged up, so
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, dude, Reaper is a game changer for PvP. That's another reason why I've been maining like Hunter as well, Drew, because
huge understatement there. It is the game changer.
That's
crazy.
I just figured out build crafting basically, because I was just like, I was just gonna go with the flow guy, you know, Ophidians.
So
but
funny. Yeah.
when I realized build crafting, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I can crutch a little bit easier. But yeah, now going back to what I was saying, Drew, I still play Warlock like in scrims, but for trials, I just in comp, I just
play Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I think the strongest subclass still, even on controller and mouse and keyboard, is probably PK Arc Titan. I just feel like that's still the most dominant one. So
I feel like so. Yeah, go on. I was gonna ask something, but
and the reason why I say that is because like I play comp a lot, and that's the main thing I lose to is Arc Titan. I feel like Arc Titan is just so strong in this meta. You can just do so much. And you can use that Reaper mod too. Like it's, I don't know. It's especially with the SMG meta and Peacekeepers, it's just such a good combo. You could even use like Kilos and Forerunner on controller with an Arc Titan and still dominate. I feel like Hunter is good, but Arc Titan is like that notch up. You know what I mean?
Cut above, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you feel this way. I feel like, and feel free to call me out on bias, but I was talking about it with Cam. I think that Hunter's like, I think this might be one of the worst times to play Hunter.
Really?
I definitely think it's better in 3s than in 6s. I think it's definitely better in 3s than 6s. And like radar manipulation is like the biggest thing it has going for it now, but I feel like it's the worst time to play Hunter because you need all 3 of the top stats. You need mobility, resilience, and recovery. And typically like you have to give up one of them or not get an ideal stat split on one of them. And if you're not hitting 7, so if you're using the Immortal, and you're not hitting 7 resilience, that means your TGK is just worse than the Titan you're going against. Because you know the Titan's running 10 resilience.
He's
the Warlock 10.
And then if they're on
hitting 7
PKs on top of it, they're going to have something like 8, 9, or 10 mobility, 10 resilience, and 9 or 10 recovery.
9 or 10 recovery, exactly. So I feel like it's an uphill battle. So this is why I want to circle back to Drang. Like I feel like Drang is actually like, or sidearms are the solution to that problem. I feel like using an Immortal on Hunter is like almost like throwing, because you're even though your gun's as good, you're actually just worse. Like you're not killing the same time.
Agree, yeah.
If you both play perfectly, essentially like an Immortal wielding Hunter with mid or like with average resil versus a 10 resil Titan Peacekeeper Immortal. Like you're saying, if those two 1v1 each other and both of them were to play perfectly, it would basically be a Titan shutout.
Well, even regardless, the Titan's just gonna melee anyways. You're not gonna win a melee fight on a Hunter most of the time.
Not against the melee Titan.
Yeah, it's the better build on just the top 3 stats, but then Titan overall is just better. The only thing Hunter really has going for it in that 3v3 environment is the radar maneuver.
Yeah, I would agree.
But again, I find it interesting that you use Drain, because I recently, like just a few days ago, kind of like leaned on that as my solution, because I think sidearms. So sidearms have so the way that PKs work, this was my thought process. The way that PKs work is they have I believe it's a 9% ADS penalty with SMGs, which is very low. But sidearms have a 15% ADS penalty. So that's the penalty of your movement. And I think a lot of PK Titans are typically hitting 8 mobility, that's with the +5 of PKs. So on Hunter, if you play 10 mobility with a sidearm, and if you have moving target on your Drang, that makes the penalty even lower. So it'd be around, give or take, like 13% ADS penalty. I think that 10 mobility with a sidearm is actually roughly the same strafe speed and mobility as PKs. And Drang actually, or even Traveler's Chosen, that archetype, like those guns are like just crazy insane.
Good, yeah.
They get outranged a little bit, but they have a 0.6. They can kill in 0.6 as well.
Yep.
With 4 headshots, so it levels the playing field. So I'm like totally not using my Immortal right now, and just going like doing the PureChill and going for a full Drang and Traveler's Chosen, because I think it's just better. I think it's just better on Hunter. Like, why try and beat Titans at their own game that you're not going to win?
I'm doing this. Yeah, I agree. I'm not using Immortal. I'm using Drang to.
Especially on controller, man. Sidearms, I really think are like machine guns on controller. Like, I think they're very broken.
Like, honestly, Drew, like, do you think like us being on controller like gives us a little bit of a disadvantage versus a mouse and keyboard Immortal?
It goes back and forth. Like, I think that they get to squeeze a little bit more range out. I feel confident, but like they're gonna outrange me sometimes, because like I think MNK doesn't rely on reticle.
If you're playing an MNK Titan who can leverage the shoulder charge to create that gap between Drang and the 25-meter Immortal, they can probably do it.
Here's what I'll recommend, especially if you're a controller player who plays on PC. There are many of you, I know. If you're feeling super oppressed by the Immortal, I mean, it's not gonna work 10 times out of 10. But if you have that crafted Drang, man, go grab it. Like, it goes really hard on controller. Because I remember PureChill kept talking about, like, there's like 3 or 4 streamers who I watch every Friday while I'm editing my weekly Zer video. Like, I watch Pure, I watch Grenadier Jake, I watch Frabo, and I watch ZK Mushroom.
Yeah, nice clanmates, bro. Kind of picking favorites there.
Yeah, picking favorites a little bit. But I watch and, hang out and yada yada. And of course, PureChill talks a lot about controller meta and stuff like that. And he keeps selling Drang, and it seemed kind of crazy to change off of an SMG in the current meta. But I put on Drang controller, and good lord, what I'll say is if a Titan PK player with Immortal is playing perfectly on MNK, if they're playing perfectly, they will beat you. But remember that, like, even though SMGs are pretty forgiving, especially if you're using them at range with MNK, it's like you can if you strafe and move the right way and you flinch them the right way, like, they have to play perfectly. And it's not always perfect, because remember, MNK doesn't get the reticle friction that controller players get. So what you're doing by putting on controller Drang against an MNK SMG player, you are basically putting a gun to their head and forcing them to play perfectly. Because your ability to use Drang to its max potential is, I would say, more likely to happen than them at range to use Ikelos to full potential. Or not Ikelos, excuse me, Immortal. It's just a great way. It's a great way to put pressure on MNK SMG users, because if they make one mistake, you're gonna shred them with Drang. It's gonna be very apparent.
All right, so we talked about the Drang solution to Immortal. Let me tell you about my journey. I had to travel all the way back to Season 1. My Season 1 loadout. Some of the funniest shit.
Is this back when you were in Two Sidearms Clan?
Yeah, back in the Two Sidearms.
Two Sidearms. Yeah.
So I am back on a feedback fence on my Titan, because nobody can resist punching, right? They always get knockout. They have to hit punch.
Yeah.
And I started using Immortal with Fighting Lion, right? Fighting Lion, try to pepper them around the corner. They have less health. I win on TTK. SMG wasn't the call. It was hand cannon. And the reason is, it's because it's just a big chunk of damage that I can chain into a punch, and they always punch back.
That's right.
And that Neo Muna hand cannon goes so hard.
Oh, round robin?
Round robin.
Round robin.
Yeah. Do you have a crafted one
You were
yet?
saying you appreciated Rampage? It has Rampage baked into the perk, baby. That Nano Rocket, 30 damage out of nowhere.
Rocket.
And if you chain it with Kill Clip or Golden Tricorn, it turns into a 2-tap on the second target if the Nano Rocket goes off. So I've had moments where I'm dueling 2 people and the third Titan rolls up and punches me and kills himself. It's the funniest thing.
That's pretty funny.
I love it.
Yeah, I was hoping
Season 1 though, I have to reiterate. Season 1.
Yeah, that was a loadout that, like, back when there was like the little small tournaments for PvP in year or Season 1 or early year 1 that
tournaments
we used. Yeah.
I remember
back when we used to play in those.
Drew was a little demon with Twilight Oath back in the day. Well, Forsaken meta, he was
a long time ago.
Those are the days.
He's a different man.
That was a full passion.
Different man. Yeah. But yeah, like that was something that, like, back in the day, like, Synthos in year 1 were, like, so popular, and it was a similar thing. Like, we didn't have shotguns, so, like, a lot of Titans would go like SMG Syntho punch. Like, that was like the equivalent to, like, a shotgun.
Yeah.
And we just hated it so much that like Cam started using. We're just like, yo, let's just completely metagame this and try out feedback fence, and they just kept killing themselves because it's just
instinct
reactively doing it. So and man, like, to watch Cam use that again, and, like, literally just deja vu. It just working
in an era where it shouldn't be working as good as it is right now. Like, they have shotguns.
Very funny.
Yeah, like
the TTK's 0.6 now. Like, I shouldn't be getting away with this.
It's just like, man, I think that, like, Cam has so many clips of this from the Trials weekend, and you'll just hear me and I'm, like, just losing my mind, like, screaming. Like, I don't know if you guys know the commentator in football or soccer commentator, Ray Hudson. He, like, screams every time Messi does something, like, amazing, like, you know,
so funny.
Even decent. I want to say, just loses his mind. Like, I'm just there, like, losing my mind because it's so funny.
I'll be in heated 1v3s, and I will tell Drew on the final guy, I'm like, I took my hands off the keyboard, I am drinking my beer, and then the guy dies.
The guy somehow loses a melee battle with Cammy in the 1v1, and Drew's like, go.
Yeah, just, like, losing my mind.
So speaking of like trials and 1v3s, how was your trials weekend? Because I know all of you guys played.
Team Q changed the game. I love it now.
What changed the game?
Wait, what changed?
The Team Q, like, being able to guarantee match a team of 3.
Oh yes.
I have more active games, so I just feel like more engaged.
It's been a while since we've recorded the last time we recorded an episode of the show was pre-Lightfall. So yeah, a lot has changed, and now Trials has FBMM Fireteam based matchmaking. So yeah, would love to hear from the community how you feel about that, because I've actually had do you guys keep, like, a real tight watch on your community's feedback with whatever change is going on in the game. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, obviously you're gonna play the game too and get yeah, I mean, you're gonna give your own feedback too.
I put out a tweet asking what people thought about Fireteam based matchmaking, and it was mostly positive. Yeah, it was mostly positive.
Here's what I learned from that past weekend. So if you duo queued, for some reason the games are significantly easier than anything.
I noticed that too.
Like like a lot of people were just farming with their friend. I mean, I think the population was very high too, so that played a big role in that.
It was.
And so I mean, the main issue I feel like people were having is finding teams to play with, and that's why freelance was such a big factor for a lot of solos back in the day. So this is a big change for people that just don't have a team.
Yeah.
And I think it's overall good for the game. The only thing I was thinking is that it would make the 3v3 game more, I guess, not competitive, but more difficult matches. Like Cammy was saying, he was enjoying that. But since the population was so high, I didn't see that. It still felt like all across the board, it was chill. You know what I mean? You weren't playing the same teams over and over again.
Yeah.
I feel that, but we kept catching this like magical hour where if you were in the freelance pool and then went to team 3Q, night and day. It was Weenie Hut Juniors to the Salty Spittoon.
Salty Spittoon.
Weenie Hut Juniors.
It was funny because Anno over there wanted to, of course, like everybody, farm for a good Immortal role. And she was like, we got to get a team together. We got to get a team together. I was like, we actually don't. Like, you're like, I'm not just trying to say that to like ditch responsibility to help you. It's just like, because I played in every option. I did like a lot of solo queuing. I did a lot of duo. I did a lot of triple. And like triple was by far the most difficult. Like,
duo was the easiest to me by far.
Yeah, duo was very straightforward. Very, I hesitate to use the word chill. I always like, because there's people out there who I recognize I'm a different level player than you. Like the guy who only gets like 3 hours to play a week. He's probably like, chill, what the hell are you talking about? But yeah, I felt the difficulty of the matches was easier when I duo queued and solo queued. So if you haven't tried that yet, if you're like been one of those people who's been maybe avoiding trials because like, oh, last time I went there I got my dick kicked in, give it a try. I mean, maybe not this weekend because it's the Whistler's whatever bow and that thing is a piece of crap, but
speaking of trials,
in the future,
the mid-season update is allowing people to have 2 mercies, right, to go flawless.
I forgot about that as well. They announced that change. Yeah, when does that go live? Do we know?
I would say April because it's mid-season update. It would be this upcoming month, right?
Probably
when does the season
April.
end?
Yeah, the season ends in mid to late May, I want to say.
Yeah, so I'm thinking April. Probably like maybe around,
It seemed like a lot of quality of life
April
trials
20th,
things. The one thing I want to add though is currently I really like that in the flawless pool, you can just win a game and sometimes get an adept drop. That to me is a huge quality of life to just continuing to play. And not feel like you wasted 45 minutes if you're not running the hardest meta.
Loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking about the mid-season update, we're also getting some comp stuff too, like an emblem. I think also a transmat effect as well. If you guys saw that,
I can't remember.
They're sending
Was that
personalized belts.
Personalized.
No, not really.
When did they put that out in an update? Was that last week or something? Like one of those dev posts type deals?
Yeah, it's so basically we're getting an emblem for Ascendant, and we're also getting I mean, besides the transmat effect, I think that's about it. I don't know if we're getting a shader.
It's kind of a bummer.
They are replacing Rose though. Rose is being replaced to out of the rotation. So there is no way to obtain Rose until further note. Until we know.
I would say definitely try to get a God Roll Rose before it.
Yeah, try to get one.
The rotation.
You only get 3 per week, bro.
Don't be. I know it's rough. Don't pull a PureChill, bro.
Okay. Listen. So I messed up on the Aikilos, but the funny thing is I went into Cammy's stream roughly like after that tweet, maybe like 3-4 hours after that tweet saying I didn't get the Aikilos, and Cammy gave me a great lesson. He said, "It's all good, man. Look at the Immortal," and he goes to his collection, shows me this, and he's like, Yeah, this is all you need, Pure. You'll be fine.
I did say that.
It's
I was
very
like,
fun.
oh, you're worried about Kilos. Don't worry.
It's
You're just
funny.
gonna get this anyway.
It's like, yeah, you're gonna get that no matter what.
He was right. Nobody's using
Now
it.
that we know, we know.
lucked out
Like-
that Immortal was
Yeah.
literally the first. Like, not only was it the first Trials weapon on the table, they
Yeah.
moved Trials up a weekend
Yeah.
to compensate for the invisible player glitch getting fixed. So you really lucked out.
It was
It
a
was
funny.
Never
very-
punished. Never punished.
It was just
And
very
then on top
funny
of that,
to
now
me.
we're all in the Drain Gang.
And now we're in the Dragon Gang, and
Yeah.
but just PureChill tweeting
Yep.
out like I'm just like writing a script. I'm looking over Twitter, and PureChill fucking tweets out, "Hey, does anyone know? Is there like a way I can get the Ikelos SMG crafted now?" It's like I never finished crafting mine. I was like, "What,
Dude, I don't know.
you're a Trials Sherpa. You play on controller."
I was just in love with the Drang, bro. I couldn't take it off
Man,
that whole month.
controller sidearms are, I
Oh,
swear, as
man.
broken. They
Yeah.
are broken guns.
Yeah, all things
Like,
considered,
they're
I
not
think
getting the
you got
attention right
last
now, but
laugh
I
here.
really think they're busted. So I don't blame them.
It's just
Drang's good.
super funny. It's like rewind the clock, right? This is like end of season 19, and like the Ikelos is already crushing the meta on both like controller and M&K. And Bungie's like, "Hey, good news! Before Lightfall, and what was there to do before Lightfall? There was nothing to do
Nothing to
before
do.
Lightfall.
Just-
We
you
have
log
no
in
content."
and you get a red box each day.
And then
Nothing.
Bungie's like, "We're gonna change
Oh my
this. That
God,
you can
true.
get a you can get a deep sight frame weapon every day until Lightfall." And PureChill's just like, fuck it.
You know, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I wasn't saying I was against PvE, but like I was just solely focused on PvP. So like I didn't want to dip into PvE, and then once Lightfall hit, I started enjoying PvE a lot more, especially with the Strand subclass. You know,
Strand's been fun.
I even attempted the day one raid, and I fortunately completed it. You know, it was obviously a little bit easier than I thought, but yeah, no, PvE is really solid in Lightfall. I personally enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting to. The quality of life changes were huge too, especially the builds built
The
into the
loadout
game.
system?
Yeah, that
Those
was
are
huge.
huge, dude.
Game changer for sure.
Huge. That's out of everything Lightfall has brought to the table. I know we've already had like, you know, dim loadouts and stuff like that, but like
Yeah.
the speed of which the loadouts can be applied in game in D2, and you can do them in the middle of an activity.
Okay, you just
Exactly.
opened up a dangerous tangent that I want to explore.
Oh,
Is it the
really?
right time,
Okay.
though?
Okay. Yeah, we have time. Yeah, hit me.
The loadout swapping seamlessly and instantly. Is that not a concern in PvP?
It is a concern in PvP, but we have now.
I have feelings about this.
Yeah.
But what's
not
the
swap
concern though?
Strong feelings.
Okay, I can see where the
So in competitive modes like Trials of Osiris, there is
Okay.
a modifier called not swap, where if you swap an exotic
Right.
armor piece, you lose your ability charges.
which is a good,
Good
change.
change.
Thumbs up.
Amazing
big
change.
thumbs up on that change.
What isn't consistent though is if you change anything else, like your weapons.
Are
you
we
keep
talking
your
about
abilities.
things like
If you change a subclass fragment, you lose your abilities. But that's the thing in the loadout system, you could just have a bunch of different weapons but keep the same fragments and instantly swap. Burn 2 sniper ammo, now you're a lemon arc player.
You don't like that?
I feel
hate
that,
that.
but at the same time, like if you're only changing one weapon, isn't that just opening your menu and just clicking one button anyway, compared to clicking
No,
one
because
button
you could change
on...
all
No,
the
well,
mods. You can go from
this
an
is the
arc
thing,
sniper
Oh,
yeah.
for
to
like
avoid lemon
unflinching and
arc.
targeting
Yeah.
stuff like that. Oh,
Yes.
that's a good
Yeah.
point. That's a very good point.
So I think what limited people before from doing this was the mods, like to change weapons and like remain optimal
Mhm,
per
yep.
se. You had to like, firstly, the mod system simplified. So yeah, you can just switch to another solar to solar weapon, as an example, or void to void.
Right.
But then also, like, totally forgetting that, why not just save 2 loadouts where I start on my, like, Frosty's, you know, invis build and I'm sniping and I run out of ammo. Okay, I'm a bow user now. Okay, I got a kill and I have my seasonal artifact void boost. Now I'm a Shayura's user and I have volatile rounds.
That's
And
genius.
that
literally
is-
genius.
And it's just
Like-
so degenerate.
I,
Like,
I didn't know that was
it
a
lets you
thing.
just have it all at your
That is
fingertips.
yeah, that is when you put it that way, because
didn't
I
even
know
think
that there have
about
been
that.
times in trial, like if you're really, really sweating, like in a game of Trials or Comp or whatever, you know, run out of ammo
Yeah.
with your sniper, put on
Switch to a pulse
Fighting
rifle or
Lion or
something.
something like that. But yeah, what usually prevents me from
Yeah,
doing that
Fighting Lion.
is like oh, you got to put on unflinching, you got to change, your helmet mods, you got to change your dexterity mods, you got to change your chest mods. That's a very good point.
So
you
you're
bring
telling
up,
me
Drew.
that if you save a loadout and all you have is like unflinching and all that stuff, it doesn't take away your super or anything?
The only thing that's
just
going
keep
to
the same exotic. You just keep
Exotic
the
and
same
fragment
exotic
wow.
on all the
the same.
loadouts, and all the mods change. So you can go again, start on
Dude.
sniper, change to bow, change to
I did
Pulse,
not
like
think
no
about
time
that.
SMG.
I've seen even crazier
you can
ones
just
on
rotate
trial
through all
streams,
of it.
Drew. I've seen people be like, "Oh man, these kids are sitting in the back," and then they switch to 10 intellect just like that.
Oh yeah, like
That's
switch intellect.
crazy.
Like,
Bro, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that, right? Like, I don't know. I'm so glad that the not swap modifier is a thing, but I
great.
feel like that now that we have more power with the loadout system to do things like that, it's like almost not enough. Like for the last, pre-loadout, that was it. That was the change that needed to happen. Because if you wanted to go into your menu and like manually switch over like all your armor pieces, not including your exotics, or essentially have a duplicate build to go to high intellect or like other mods, or you want to switch a weapon and not have optimal mods, I think that's stopping a lot of people. That stopped me from doing it. I don't like it, but now it's just like, here are my preset loadouts, and I will rotate through all of them.
Have you guys taken advantage of that in trials?
No,
I don't want to because it's cringe.
I don't want to.
But like, I'm like
Because it's
waiting.
cringe.
Like, what's stopping us, right?
But
like, other
nothing
than
is
the fact that
stopping a
it's
player
cringe.
from doing that.
Drew is so funny. It's crazy.
That's what's
Oh,
stopping
man,
me
that's
right now.
so
But as soon
funny.
as people start doing it, I'm like, all right.
I
It
mean, you
turns
gotta-
into
Okay.
like it always reminds me of. Oh man, that always happens
Wow,
in the PvP meta. Like remember when Chaos Reach was like a thing? And, like
Yep.
Cammy,
Yeah, and the
Cammy and I,
Geomag.
Yeah.
yeah, dude, Cammy and I would go in to like try to farm some adept weapons and trials right now. It's like, all right, we're not gonna use Chaos Reach. We're not gonna be cringe,
Yeah,
bro.
look at this awesome, very fun, well thought together loadout, and then another team is triple Chaos
And then-
Reach. Within a couple games, we're on it.
And we're like, God damn it, like, because we just keep going up against teams who are gonna abuse it. So we just like, well, I guess we might as well switch over if everyone's like, yeah, we're putting on Dynamo now. How do you like that, bro?
Since
But,
Immortal brought Call of Duty to Destiny, I started exploring the
Call of
loadouts that I
Duty.
always knew were the best, but just didn't use because I thought they were annoying. I started using them. I started using Lemon Arc. I started using Antaeus Fusion. I thought those were the best before Immortal. Now it feels like I just use them to keep up with Immortal.
Poor Bungie,
I
man.
feel like fusions are really strong in the right hands, man. I think
Every
they're very
fusion
Fusions are
main that
great.
I talked
Yeah,
to,
fusions are great.
they're having
They're
a
very good.
feast right now. Because
Feast.
Immortal range is fusion range.
Accurate. I used the Zur ingredient for the first time in a while last
Zur
weekend.
ingredient?
Yeah, and it did really well.
The
But
problem that I feel like I have right now with like the current state of Destiny and like things like the loadout swapping or even some weapons power level like that we like fully acknowledge is like Lemon Arc is like the best candidate I feel like for this right now that we can all I think a lot of people generally agree like that thing is like insane.
Monarch is
But
right.
it just feels like it's discouraging to me right now that unless these things are used or done, they aren't fully they may not be, or it feels like it's likely that it won't be addressed because it's not a problem right now.
Not used enough.
Yep,
I know a
probably.
Like I'm not saying that they
creator
don't
just made a
like
video
Bungie
on,
doesn't see
Young
it as a
Hempara.
problem maybe, but it's like not enough to acknowledge it maybe as a problem and do something about it. And I feel like that's discouraging because like I mean sometimes like again rotating through loadouts or like some weapons that are just like I think like out of this world are just there. And I guess gentlemen's agreements are the things that just stop us from doing it.
The gentlemen's
Like, this
agreements are
isn't-
what prevents us from becoming animals, Drew.
Like,
Like,
I don't know. I'm
I-
just discouraged by that recently.
I guess, but I mean, it's hard to. I would imagine it would be hard for the Bungie sandbox team to combat a feeling like that in the player base because everyone in the player base is so different, right? Like I'm sure there are plenty. I could go through Twitch chat right now and find plenty of people who I would imagine would be like, "Death to the Monarch," like because it's just really strong and it's very good at what it does and yada yada. But then again, we have Merc on the show. Be like, "Problem? What the fuck are you talking about? I love the Monarch." It's like it's just different ways of people viewing the sandbox. Like one person.
Oh, I just thought of a
That's
great
fair.
example of the loadout swap in real time. So we were playing a match. This dude panic bubbles in a 1v3, and we're just like, okay, we're just gonna wait it out. We'll play the zone. He menued to Teraba a full loadout swap to Terraba to be able to play the 1v3 from
No
there.
way, dude.
Did he
I
want
want it
did he
too.
want
Oh,
V3?
man.
Oh.
I would say that if that becomes a rising problem in PvP, which it sounds like it very well could. I mean, not a lot of people are going to have the patience to do that, but for the people who do have the patience to do that,
well, the thing is, I didn't know it was a thing. I was assuming that anytime you swapped, I didn't even think about that. That's actually, that's the first I heard of it when Drew talked about it. I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah, thanks, Drew. Kidding.
I'm definitely gonna try.
It's a problem.
It's just like Drew was talking about, right? Like it has to be problematic to be addressed. So let's all use it. Let's all have 10 loadouts dedicated to.
Also, I think you guys just think that Titan is just the like, you know, best of the best. Like you guys.
Oh
ever
yeah, if
feel
you want to
like,
go into that tangent,
no
I
doubt.
think Titan right now
ever
is the
feel like-
definitive best in PvP.
do you guys ever feel like you're at a huge disadvantage because you're not playing Titan and your teammates are? You guys ever feel like that?
Not a huge
Yes.
disadvantage.
The trials, comp, especially Rift. Rift benefits so much movement, and Solar Charge is just huge for Rift. I always lose to our Titans in Rift. It's a GG. I can't compete.
There's a
on
couple
100.
key moments where I wish I had my Warlock or I wish I had my Hunter,
Yeah.
but majority of map mode, it's always Titan's just best.
Here, Drew, I have a potential solution for you. All right. Hold on.
Yeah.
Potential solution on paper. In the middle of a PvP match, you can change your loadout, but you can only do it manually. You can't open up your loadout and go to the side panel and queue up a pre-changed loadout in a game of like, quote, end game PvP, like trials or comp or something like that.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That way,
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. The way that I always thought of it, because people want to switch stuff. Like I don't know. To
Sure.
me,
Yeah,
I'm
they
like
want to make like a
in full
counterplay.
locked loadouts, but I'm biased to that. Like
Fair.
if you had to ask my opinion, I think we should go back to locked loadouts. But that's my bias.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think that like even I don't know, the way Call of Duty handles it is you change your loadout on the next spawn.
on death.
That's true.
That's a system that's worked since what, modern like COD 4.
Look, we're already in Call of
Yeah.
Duty with the Immortal. Like, just push it the
Right?
rest of the way, Bungie.
I don't know. Like,
Only
it might
able
not
to
be the same
change
thing because
loadouts
like
when you
Destiny's a
die.
little different. That
It's
lets
a
you do
little
everything
different than COD.
seamlessly, obviously, which is a great strength and weakness. But
Oh.
I don't know. That's like
Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't want to return to an age of locked loadouts. I understand. I understand what they can bring to the table. They can prevent like, you know, shenanigans like that. But it was very frustrating to me feeling like I've been locked into, because I think there's a certain talent or certain skill to be able to recognize what your opponents are doing.
Exactly.
And if their loadouts are strong against what you've brought to the table, being able to adapt on the fly, not necessarily like just being like, all right, fighting lion, I'm out of sniper ammo, let's go. But maybe changing the range of your build or changing a key piece of your build to kind of adapt to what the other team has brought to the table. I don't want to go back to that, but I do understand that they do prevent shenanigans like that from happening.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I have to agree with Fallout. I'm the same way with lock loadout. I was never a fan of lock loadout.
Isn't it nice to be able to have a conversation where we might disagree but don't start biting each other's noses off?
I like lock loadouts because it does prevent a lot of cheese, and I think that it makes you have to be a lot more thoughtful about what you're bringing and how you're coordinating that. Sorry, coordinate. I can't speak. Coordinating that with the team.
A big negative I had with lock loadouts though, Drew, was that like it wasn't more so that like I felt like I didn't bring the right weapons to the table. I felt like I couldn't play around my team as much. You know what I mean? I chose the wrong loadout, and then my teammates were using something completely different, and I couldn't adapt to the team chem. You know what I mean? And I ended up.
I think that's a
underperforming.
really solid point. I think that the weakness of lock loadouts is like the strength of it is like when you go in with a very prepared team and like, hey, we have like super well-rounded team comp. Like we have one sniper and like a pulse or like a sniper sidearm and like SMG. I don't know, shoddy and like a pulse shoddy. Like it's super well rounded. Like it's, you know, you got a solution for everything within your team. But like I think the problem is that I think that you made a really good point of is that when you go in with like either solo queue or like even with people that you just aren't playing with 24/7, which like I play with the same group of people pretty frequently, but like when you know, adapting to other people's like chem and like what they're bringing is probably the most difficult part. So that's why I think it's a problem. So I'd agree with that.
These have been good conversations, by the way.
And we haven't even talked about Strand.
We
I know,
haven't
we have
talked
to talk
about
about
the new split pool either too. You guys didn't talk about challenger pool and practice pool.
For
That's
trials.
what happens when we go like what a month without like an episode. And
Yeah,
It's just too much
an
to talk
entire
about.
expansion
We had
comes
like
out
3
and
episodes
news.
worth of
Yeah,
Well, it's funny
you guys got
because
some juicer content. For
People
sure.
were being like, "Hey man, we really want a new episode of Firing Range." And I was like, you know, we really want to do a new episode of Firing Range, but like, being a full-time content creator can be such a crazy grind, and like
you just don't have time for
you
stuff,
just
man.
literally don't have time. Like I'm working on new video
Yeah.
when like next stream, and like then you got to grind the game sometimes, like, you know, not on stream. It's a lot. It's a lot. One of the questions, we've gone through the topics of most of the questions that people hit us with on Twitter, which was mostly talk about Immortal. But one of the questions was like, hey, where do you think, how would you rate how Strand landed into the sandbox? And I think for the most part, I think it landed pretty well. In terms of both PvP and PvE, I think in PvE, there's a lot of fun things you can do with Strand. It's landed kind of like right somewhere in the middle for me for, you know, like if it came in too weak, I think that would be one thing. I don't think it came in too weak, and we don't want a repeat of Stasis, right? But I don't think it did. Most of the clips I've seen, especially in PvP, they just seemed kind of fun. Like it just looks enjoyable. I think it
Do you
landed
guys feel
correctly.
like you get killed out of your super though fairly quickly with the Hunter Strand
Talking
one?
about the Hunter
Are you
super?
talking about
Yeah.
Hunter PvP?
Yeah,
I
it's the
guess
Hunter
so,
one.
but like,
How do you guys feel about that? Because I feel like it needs a little bit more, just a little bit more. Not like
I
a too
think
much
that's one
more,
of the
but
worst supers in
it's
the game.
it's pretty bad
Yeah.
for PvP.
Like
Yeah,
it's like throwing.
yeah, I
I-
seen you play it. I was telling you play it.
Yeah.
it's funny. I
mean,
look
okay,
at, like,
so-
oh, go ahead, Joe.
yeah.
You go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
So the Hunter Strand super, before the PvE change for the like sweet spot mid-range hit that would do critical damage,
Yeah.
it was actually kind of good in PvP. It was like a glass cannon. So you would get killed really quickly, but that little sweet spot, I'm pretty sure, like from my experience, with like one tap every super in the game. It was like a well, you
Yeah.
hit like a, I don't know, whatever it is. Like if you were in that range, bam, they're dead. And I was like, okay, this is kind of like glass cannon-y, a little weird to control sometimes, but like that's got some real potential. It doesn't do that anymore. Now it's just glass.
Just all glass, no cannon.
Yeah, it's just like
I'm sort of the
so,
belief
yeah.
with exotic armor and subclass viability that there are like certain things that Bungie clearly introduces into the game of having like one defined role, or like being able to shine brighter on one half of the coin as opposed to the other half of the coin. So like, certain class doing well in PvP but not doing well in PvE, and then like, you know, the opposite can be true for a different class. I think the Strand Hunter super does pretty good in PvE. I think that was where it was meant to do good. But that being said, I think I wouldn't complain if they gave it a little love in PvP right now, because it's very easy to just shut down and embarrass, I would say.
I don't even feel like the other two are viable. I don't really see people run the Titan one or the Warlock one too much in PvP, unless you guys have seen
I
otherwise.
still like where Strand landed in PvP. In PvE, it seems like an excellent choice, but in PvP,
Yeah.
it's not obnoxious. I see some use, but overall, I think there's something lacking on like the aspect department, some sort of play style. Hunter, you just kind of play. Yeah, the super's bad, but Hunter, you play and get rewarded. Titan seems like you have to get a kill to get the kit rolling, which is just asking too much in PvP when other people are running Arc 3.0 Titan.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, that is true. I'm really glad that when it came in, again, it just didn't land the way that Stasis landed. Like it's,
Same.
you know, when you see a clip of someone
Yeah.
on Twitter doing some silly hunter, like throw, tangle, and then grapple across the map, and then backflip over like a wall of crates to suspend the other guy, and then smoke him with like a chaperone or whatever. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I'm glad that we're sharing clips like that, and not clips of people being like, Lamau, Warlock, Klaus Valhamkara solos entire team. like week one of Stasis introduction.
Yeah, Stasis was insane. I remember the Warlock one got nerfed for like first week. Remember that?
Every week of
so
Stasis,
hot,
we
my
had a
God.
new problem with Stasis.
There's a new meta each week.
Yeah. It was just going down the list.
I don't even remember the campaign. I just remember Stasis being so strong.
I like the Warlock. I like the potential of the Warlock Strand super. If you hit all the like the darts or whatever from the Warlock Strand super in PvE, it hits really, really hard. But the problem is that like it has a mind of its own. Like you're looking at a boss and you're like, yes, super that guy. And then like half the needles or whatever will go for him. And then half the other needles will just fuck off and like tag random thrall or whatever. I'm like, no, it's not the plan.
Oh, I have a bone to pick with the Threadlings. And it's mostly because Shinobu's Vow skip grenades, they seem so bad right now. And the Threadlings are just a better version of that. Someone threw a skip grenade at me, and I shit you not, I shot all the Seekers off the floor with Immortal. Not a single one hit me. Meanwhile, a guy just throws Threadlings, and they go Matrix mode, just jumping off the ceiling at me and shit. And then, even if I shoot them point blank, they break into needles and still auto-track you. And I'm looking at that like, Shinobu's Vow are this bad and these are this good? Why?
I was worried that a Strand Warlock Worm build would come in and be too obnoxious. I think it's right now the right level of obnoxious.
Have you played in Trials against 3 of them and they sit in Glass Hall on Javelin 4 and then you're hit by a Threadling army?
I have not been hit by that.
It's pretty effective when that happens, but it's not winning them the match.
Fair, okay, yeah. That does sound like it would be really fun to do. But yeah, it's if it had come in like just a hair hotter, I think it would be a big problem. But right now, it just kind of seems like a fun little meme.
I kind of like the way it is.
Yeah, it's a fun little meme right now.
Can you still BXB on the Warlock Strand?
BXB.
I saw that like. Yeah, you know, like BXB.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you can BXB on the Warlock Strand.
Can you really?
I don't like. I remember seeing a clip of it. Yeah, you just circumvent the melee cooldown.
I have not heard that.
I remember seeing a clip on Twitter. I don't see anyone do it, but when I saw it,
you can like 0.2 TTK with melee.
By the way, if you're listening to our show right now and you
I don't
know
if they
what
fixed it or not,
you know what a BXB is, it's you have to go to bed. It's past.
You have to go to bed.
It's past your bedtime, right?
All right, Grandpa.
Yeah, get Grandpa to bed for the BXB. That's funny. I need to look into that. I did not know that was the thing.
I didn't know that was the thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
It's I don't know if it's been fixed or whatever, but I remember seeing it very early on, and I was like, that is something.
So overall, I suspect there's like an aspect playstyle missing from 2 out of the 3, and then I don't like the way the controls work with the Titan. It doesn't seem like a mouse and keyboard. The inputs buffer correctly. It's just awkward movement all over the place. And it's like, I hit the key, why isn't it working? That's how I feel with it, at least most of the time.
Oh, man. What else can we cover in the next 5 minutes? We've gone over so much.
There's one more topic. We could talk about the third-party devices if you guys want to talk about that.
Oh, good Lord.
No,
Drew's like, hey guys, great show. I gotta take off.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys.
That was a good one. I'm out.
You don't have to talk about that one.
I'm joking.
That's just such a rough topic to cover. I mean, like, it's not.
I mean, it's definitely an issue.
I wonder how much of an issue. Anyone using it at all. I don't want to talk about this, man.
We don't have to talk about it. You know,
people using. Oh man. All I'll say is that I wouldn't personally endorse the use of third-party hardware. I feel like input methods in Destiny 2 are specifically balanced by Bungie to have strengths and to have trade-offs. and using hardware to circumvent intended trade-offs, I don't think is good for the health of the game, is what I'll say. Yeah. So that's how I feel about that.
Should it be a bannable offense if you use a third party?
I don't know about bannable, but I've seen that games like Fortnite, like, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember seeing a clip or a screenshot from Fortnite where if they detect that you have third-party hardware connected when you're trying to queue into a game, it won't let you queue into PvP. It's like, hey, just real quick, we've detected some hardware, software, whatever, please disconnect it, and then we will allow you to queue in. And I think that is a pretty good solution. I think that's...
I thought of a better one. The queue PvP, right? It detects Zim, and then it loads him into Gambit.
It's okay. I like that one
them
better.
Against the other people that are using it.
I like that one much better.
Have you? Okay, so Cammy and Drew, have you guys matched players using Zim and Cronus?
There's no way to really know.
There's no way to know.
You've never.
Well, you can have.
No one's ever like came into your stream and was like, hey, that guy's on. No.
Well, I've had people come in and say that guys are pretty well known. And I was like, well, do you have proof? It's like, no, we just kind of suspect them of being a Zimmer or a Cronus user or something like that. And it's like, okay, I mean, like that's the rough part. Remember back
someone who's
when cheating was like running rampant on Steam,
season 14.
Yeah, when it was just running rampant, and like it put the fear into your head. Like every time you would get like headshot by a sniper, you're like, is that guy fucking cheating, or is he just a good shot? Which is it? Someone write down how many headshots is he getting this game? Like, but there's no way to know for sure. I've definitely had moments where I've strongly suspected people of using third-party hardware, but I don't know.
I played against a good fair of since playing comp and trials, and it's not like it's like you said season 14, but it's definitely noticeable, and it's definitely a bit frustrating because you do feel like you're at a disadvantage, mouse and keyboard or controller, when you do play against those type of players, especially players that know how to like actually have good game sense. It's a very difficult fight.
Would you say it's more like the consistency of controller, but with speed of M&K? To describe it overall?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And especially with this meta being very catered towards the Immortal, fighting someone with the Cronus or Zim on Immortal is it's not even the snipes, it's the Immortal.
Yeah.
It's an instant GG, bro. Like you can feel it. It's pretty difficult to outgun or even play against it. It's pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie. And it's very frustrating. I'm sure Jake has talked about it a lot on Twitter too, and probably in his stream. It's very frustrating.
Jake talks about it a lot, and I don't want to say I'm afraid of talking about it because I already mentioned how I feel about it, but I just know that certain people are very aggressive in how they react to people in the community. Like there's people out there who like
in
routinely...
Bungie TOS, it says if you're using a third party device, you're breaking TOS regardless.
Fair enough.
That's their rules.
Mean, yeah, like I said, I think that the input methods in the game were very clearly designed with trade-offs in mind, and I don't think it's fair to intentionally go out of your way to purchase software or hardware to erase the trade-offs in those input methods, is what I would say. But yeah, maybe they can take a Fortnite style approach, but I do believe the ball's in Bungie's court on that one. I can't imagine they would ever do something, especially.
No, I don't think they would.
Especially this late in the lifespan. I can't hide on Stadia Island from this one.
Yeah,
we can't hide on Stadia Island.
I just fear like in the next upcoming 6 months, it's just gonna be a plague in certain playlists. You know what I mean?
Yeah, part of the reason I don't even like bringing it up because there's probably someone at home who's like, "Oh, I wonder what they're talking about." He's gonna like go Google it and buy one. You know,
well,
what I mean?
The craziest
now
part
there's another
is
one.
They just sell them at stores. Like some people don't even know.
Wait, what?
They're just like, "Oh, okay, improves my game. Awesome, sick. I'll go use it right now." They don't even think about it as cheating.
Yeah,
it's just there and available.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Freaking A. What do you guys think about master raids?
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna be honest, man. the raid overall in general, man, as the guy who just plays a lot of PvP, I'm pretty disappointed in the overall difficulty of both. Even contest mode felt really easy. So I don't know, how do you guys feel about that? You guys play a lot more PvE than me, I'm assuming. Do you guys feel like you were not rewarded for your time doing Master Raid and even
Here's
contest?
my preamble. Art team, sound team, design or whatever, always knocks it out of the park. But specifically the difficulty left so much to be desired that it just soiled my enjoyment of it.
They soiled it.
Soiled it.
Yeah, I'm currently trying to wrap my head around master raids, maybe to share my thoughts on YouTube or something. I feel like there's so much potential there, but it's not doing it for me. I like that it's kind of like a part of getting the raid seal. That is kind of cool, but I don't know. If from the challenge perspective, it doesn't seem like it's there. And that might be more of a design of how Ron runs in general, where you can just have like half the team be on ad clear. You know what I mean? But also from a reward standpoint, I felt like I was left wanting more with the Master Raid, right?
We got a sidearm.
You got a sidearm, and like it's okay. Ooh, adept, good, but compare it to the adept weapon drops from other raids. It has 1 perk in column 3 and 1 perk in column 4, whereas old master raids had 2 perks in column 3 and column 4. So why would they do that? Why would they? And the only reason that I could come up with is because they're coming out with this new system where you can take an adept raid weapon and you can enhance it, which was their answer to having adept raid weapons compete with craftable raid weapons, which is kind of a funny situation. So the only thing I could come up with in my head was that they were like, oh, well, we're giving them the ability to enhance adept raid weapons to be on par with craftable raid weapons. I guess we just have to somehow make it harder for them to get their god roll. Just cut the amount of perks you get in column 3 and 4 in half. And it's like, well, that kind of sucks. I just feel like I'm not even gonna grind for them. You know, I'd probably just rather craft it and be done with it. You know.
Only like boon to the reward is if you were lazy and didn't do the 5 red box weekly reset type thing, then maybe you just roll the slot machine and see if you get a depth roll that you were going to craft anyway on the first try. The only thing I can think of why I would want to do it.
Drew, did you enjoy doing the raid? Because I know you just came back to Destiny after a big break. Were you feeling underwhelmed? How was a delightful experience for you, actually, since you're just easing back into it?
Feels like, I think we like talked about it a little bit. Feels a little samey. Strand has been the highlight. I've never been a grapple person in games, nor have I ever been good with it. And I think that like the grapple, or like the dynamic of Strand and kind of surrounding the grapple, I guess, at least for the hunter, has been super enjoyable. I've enjoyed it more than I even like remotely thought I was going to, because it feels really good and really fun to use. And that's, again, something that I'm typically not a grapple person into that stuff, but in this I've like been in love with it. So that's the highlight for me. Otherwise, little samey. Really strong guns, but it feels like, I don't know, it feels like the vast majority of exotics, not and like some weapons, I mean, save for like Immortal and Conditional Finality, it didn't seem like there was a lot of like PvP bangers this time around. It was like kind of like, I don't know, just wasn't interested in a lot of the weapons as a PvP player. The raid was fun, as I think I'm going to share Cam's sentiment. Art, design team, environments, always just so compelling. It's beautiful. I love the aesthetic of the raid. I think it's fantastic. And they always kill it. It's like a spectacle every time. Difficulty left a lot to be desired. I feel like for day one we were expecting so much more, at least I was, so much more difficulty, at least even in the mechanics and involving the team. I felt like, and this might not be true, but I felt like there's a little bit more of a trend in more, I think, the recent raids. I don't know, like I said, I could be wrong here, where I thought more people had to be involved in the mechanics, and this time around it just felt like 2 people do the mechanics and everyone just kills stuff, I guess. and I just wasn't expecting that. And I wasn't expecting this raid to be able to be like pushed over so easily. I don't think I've ever experienced that in contest ever, where you could just hey guys, we put on our like super ad clear builds, and if you're like, you know, really good at like ad clear and you got the right loadout, you're gonna blow through everything.
You think
could skip
Starfire
mechanics.
protocol like really just shifted like the ease of the raid too? Because Starfire literally you just destroyed Nezzy really
It's
easy.
very
like what?
free. It's
feel
very,
like that
very
I
should
definitely
like-
think it contributes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely think it contributes. I was expecting more of the marathon that I feel like I anticipate on day ones, and it felt like a sprint.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
the best way I could put it.
That's a great
That's
way
a good,
to put
that's a
it.
good way to put it, Drew.
And you just brushed over the conditional finality shotgun. Like I wasn't gonna call you
That'll
out
be
on
the
it.
final thing
That
I think
is
we
a
should talk about
banger.
before ending
Okay.
the show. It's just kudos to the weapon person who designed that exotic. I think it's like a really fun, well designed, enjoyable exotic. It's strong, but not too strong. Like it's not gonna completely dominate the meta, but it's good. I've been using it in both PvE and PvP. It's very fun. I love everything about it.
Todoroki.
Do you think it's
love
actually
it on
strong in
both
PvP,
modes.
or is it just fun?
No, I think it's strong in PvP. I think for a shotgun, I mean, like it's hard to shine
Remember,
when
we just
mid to
lost
close
quick
range
charge
is being.
in the mods.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
man.
And it's
I'm
not
glad
yet
for quick
handling at
charge.
base.
Rest in
Don't
peace,
get me
dude.
started about
Rest
out of the
in
box.
peace, bro. But yeah, in PvP, it's hard to shine right now, considering SMGs
Yeah.
are running the show. But
And Saturn.
for a shotgun, it's quite good. I would say, it's very consistent as for a shotgun, which is what I look for in shotgunning.
Do you have
You
it?
just
Pure?
don't
Have you
love
used
it because Hand in Hand got re-released.
I still don't have a good hand in hand. Are you thinking of that picture,
Oh,
Drew?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hand in
So
hand.
Fallout back in the day was obsessed with Hand in Hand.
Yeah,
and now
that's
it's a
true.
legendary.
Now it's a legendary. I still
I
need to
didn't
get
know
it.
You have
Fallout
to
was
get a gun roll.
a shotgun lover. I did not know this.
Oh, get out of
He
here.
loved hand in hand back in the
He
day.
used to
That was my
search
jam.
eval. Searching eval and match each other in regular PvP just to get shotgun data with
That's
hand
right.
in hand.
That's right. I did. Yeah, that
That
was
was hand
way
in
back
hand.
when. Fun times, man.
Man.
Okay, so the raid shoddy has like fully unlocked the potential of gunpowder gamble for me. It's that shoot the trip mine ability on gunslinger. Yeah, the shotgun counts as solar kills even on the stasis mode. So you get to proc the gunpowder stacks on both your primary
Oh, that's
and special
interesting.
weapon. And that's the first time you've been able to do that without osmosis.
Huh.
So
How
to me,
about
that's like
that?
the best.
That's interesting. Any other quick things you can get out that you want to get off your chest in the next 30 seconds?
What was your favorite encounter in the raid? Are you guys gonna say planets or no?
Planet room, dude. I thought
Planets.
that's a well-designed encounter.
Now that I've ran it a lot, the jumping puzzle, it's so
Jumping
hilarious.
puzzle.
The jumping puzzle's savage. The only thing I don't like about it is that sometimes you'll die and you're like, it's fine, I died near the end, and then you hit the respawn button, you're like, whoa, I'm all the way
All the
back
way at the
here.
beginning.
What is happening? Like it'll send you right back to the beginning of the raid.
As a controller player, I just don't like jumping puzzles, but I mean, I like it's just difficult, bro. It's difficult.
That's mad fun. What was your favorite encounter, Pure?
It was definitely planets.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It just the aesthetics was just too good. I don't know. It's just the most memorable part of the raid for me.
That's fair. Well, we really appreciate you coming on the show tonight, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's a lot of
I'm glad
fun.
we got talked about chopped some PvP questions.
Hell
and-
yeah. A lot of good discussions, and thanks to everybody who submitted your discussion topics on Twitter. Hope we tagged enough of them for you. And next time we go live, hopefully it won't be as long of a break. Maybe 2 weeks we'll get a cool guy back and have more discussion about Lightfall and whatever might be coming down the pipe in the mid-season update.
And barbecue.
And barbecue. So before we go, we'll just go around the table, tell you where you can find us. Pure, where can the people at home find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/PureChill. I usually play comp, trials, or even quick play. I'm just all around PvP guy. You can check me out over there.
Damn right. Cammy, where can the people find you?
Twitch.tv/CammyCakes.
Attaboy. Drew, what about you?
Twitch.tv/Drewskis and YouTube.com/Drewskis channel.
Good man. I'm Fallout. You can find me YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter at Fallout Plays. Thank you very much for joining us, and take care of each other. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Now, we are still live on Twitch, but let's find somebody to host.
I still feel like we had 4 more episodes to talk about.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to talk
Yeah,
about.
dude. A lot of stuff.
We got all the normal people are on. Actually, no, it's kind of a quiet night.
I just on my recommended. There's CB Gray. I don't know.
CB Gray?
This is going for 40 hours.
Who's going for 40 hours?
He went to sleep and
I
then
thought that
woke
was a
up.
joke. I thought that tweet was a joke.
He's trying to get his hours for his ad incentive. I
Is
talked
he
to him this
really?
morning. Yeah.
I mean, he's a good guy. Do we want to raid Defizzle?
Sure.
Sure, I think he's a good guy. All right, sure. All right. Defizzle is
40
apparently
hours. Holy crap.
unironically trying to stream for 40 hours straight. I feel like this is a really
trying
bad
to fuse
idea.
with cheer. Will he succeed?
This is probably a bad idea. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.